evening from the Edge. So we're gonna kick off a new series for us and do something a little different. We're gonna kick off a series called Couch Talk, and our goal is to do it weekly, and we're gonna come up with different categories and topics to talk about, and we're literally gonna sit on our couch and talk to you about them. So the first one we're gonna do is animal attractions in Arizona, and we're actually gonna rank them. So I want to do some disclaimers before we start this. Disclaimer number 1. If you're from Arizona, you may notice that some animal attractions are missing off this list. That's because we're not going to judge a book by its cover. We haven't been to it, so we can't properly rank it. Number 2. Disclaimer. We have not had a bad experience in an animal attraction in Arizona. So you'll notice some of these are lower on our list, but that's just because the ones above it were just better for one way or another. And we'll explain that as we go through. And then the third disclaimer. This is not official. This is not sponsored by anyone. This is truly just our opinion. So, if you're ready for it, we're going to kick it off and get going and see what we can get done. So come along. So there are 14 animal attractions on our list. These are ones we have personally been to, so we can rank them according to our own opinion. So, number 14, the Heritage Park Zoo in Prescott, Arizona. So the Heritage Park Zoo is a smaller zoo. They are more focused on wildlife that you would find in the state of Arizona. So they have bears, they have wolves, coyotes, bobcats.
Yeah, javelinas there.
Javelinas. So the only reason we rank this one low is just because it is a small zoo, and it's just, I would rank it more as like a children's attraction. It's a great zoo if you have like smaller children who love animals and maybe can't do a whole day at a zoo. Yeah. You can do the Heritage Park Zoo in a couple hours. And like I said, they're a great zoo. It's just a little lower on our list because there are ones higher up that are just a little bit better for other reasons. So that is number 14, the Heritage Park Zoo. Number 13 is the Arizona Sonoran Desert Museum. And this is located west of Tucson, Arizona, which is in the southern part of the state. So this museum is actually amazing. There's a whole bunch of like little museums all in one, as you would kind of say it. They have
animals, plants, ecology,
state history, Sonoran Desert history. So like I said, it's an amazing little, well, it's not little, it's an amazing museum. However, it's ranked low because this is an animal attractions list. And yes, they do have animals, so that's why they even make the list. But they're not solely focused on it. Yeah. So they rank low just because we're focusing on ones that are more completely animal attractions. But we didn't want to leave them off the list. Yeah. So that is number 13, the Arizona Sonoran Desert Museum. Number 12, Keepers of the Wild Park. It's a wildlife park, isn't it?
I think so, yeah.
Anyway, Keepers of the Wild. It's located in Valentine, Arizona, which is on historic Route 66 between the towns of Seligman and Kingman. So it's actually a pretty cute little zoo. It's just, for me, it's not well put together. It doesn't, like, flow well.
Yeah.
I mean, they have great animals. They have lots of tigers and lions. Or at least they did last time we were there. It's been a while since we've been there. And they're closed on Tuesdays. Just remember that, because we found out that the hard way. So zoo. It's just something about it just doesn't flow for me.
It's kind of set up haphazardly.
It's just, it could be organized a little bit better. But the animals are well taken care of, and they seem very happy. It's just, it just doesn't seem to flow. So that is Keepers of the Wild in Valentine, Arizona. Number 11 is the Wildlife World Zoo in Litchfield Park, Arizona, which is actually like a very western suburb of the Phoenix metro area. So it's right off the 303, if anyone knows where that is. So the Wildlife World Zoo is actually a really, really good zoo. They got a variety of animals. They got like a white alligator. They have a safari park. They have an aquarium, and they even have like rides. Like they have a log ride and a roller coaster and a few other things. So the reason why it's a little bit lower on our list is because of the value. It is quite expensive to get into the Wildlife World Zoo to begin with, and then there's a whole bunch of little stuff that you can add on. Like if you want to take a safari, like an actual safari in with some of the safari animals, that costs extra. All the rides cost extra, and there's some other stuff that it's so when you want to go spend a day at a zoo, you kind of want to just pay one price and everything's included. So that's the only reason why we've ranked it the way we did, is just because it's a good zoo and they have an amazing variety of animals, but it can drain your pocket pretty easily.
It's a little bit more expensive than other places.
Yeah, in general. So that was the Wildlife World Zoo in Litchfield Park, Arizona. Number 10, the Grand Canyon Deer Farm. So before you get too excited, it is not at the Grand Canyon. Anything remotely in northern Arizona takes the Grand Canyon name. So it is actually located off of Interstate 40, just east of the town of Williams. So the Grand Canyon Deer Farm lives up to its name. I mean, the deer farm part of its name. So it's kind of like a petting zoo. I was kind of classified as great for kids, but you go in, you can buy food for the deer, and then you actually go in with the deer, and they will chase you all over the yard for their food, which is kind of cool. You get up close and personal. And then there's areas you can walk through that are not deer friendly, so you can get away from the deer for a little bit. They have like wallabies and elk, reindeer. There's llamas, alpacas. There's a camel. There is donkeys, and then there's a zonkey, which is a zebra donkey. So he looks like a big donkey with stripes, which is kind of cool. And then they have some smaller animals. They got quadrumundis or quaddies. Overall, it's great, and they have an amazing gift shop. But yeah, it's truly what it says. It's a deer farm, so it's a petting zoo. So that is the Grand Canyon Deer Farm, located near the town of Williams, Arizona. Number 9 is the Phoenix Zoo, located in, Phoenix. So yeah, it's located in the state capital of Phoenix. It's actually a really, really good zoo. You can spend the whole day there and not get tired of it. It is a lot of walking. It is one of the largest zoos in the country by area. So there is a lot of walking, but they have an amazing like Arizona trail, which shows you animals that you would find in Arizona. And then they have the African part. And they have this thing called the Monkey Village. So you actually go in with squirrel monkeys? Yeah, they're squirrel monkeys. And you can actually go in and get like up close and personal to them. So that's kind of cool. And then they have a cool orangutan exhibit. Then they have the Amazon area, so it's got the Adian bear. And they have the children's zoo section that has like a petting zoo, which is kind of cool. And I'm sure I'm leaving out some of the Phoenix Zoo. It's actually a pretty big zoo. So, the Phoenix Zoo, I would definitely highly recommend the Phoenix Zoo. It is kind of the midway of our vlog here. I want to reiterate, there's no bad experience animal-wise so far in the state of Arizona. These are just ranked on different, how we feel about them. So, that is the Phoenix Zoo, located in Phoenix, Arizona. Number 8. Number 8 is Southwest Wildlife Conservation Center. Yeah, I couldn't remember the last word. So, this is a small facility located in North Scottsdale, Arizona. And it is a wildlife rehabilitation center. So, they have 2 sections of it. The first one is, you don't get to see really, is the rehabilitation area. So, they'll take in sick, orphaned, and injured animals and try to rehabilitate them and release them back into the wild. And they actually do have a huge success rate with that. But the part that you go on, you can book a tour. This is by tour only. You book a tour and you'll actually get to go into the area where the animals are kept that cannot be re-released into the wild. Whether they're too sick, too injured, or they've just imprinted on humans. They have some animals like their bobcat, Rocket the bobcat, who was kept as a pet. So he will never be able to defend himself in the wild. And that they have that, I think Lucky was the javelina's name. Same way, it was kept as a pet. So never keep pet or wild animals as pets. No. Don't do it. But yeah, they're a great, great facility, great education. The tour guides are amazing to tell you all about the stories of the animals and everything like that. So highly recommend it if you're in this North Scottsdale area. And like I said, it is by appointment only. So that is Southwest Wildlife Conservation Center. Why is my thing not working? Number 7. The Butterfly Wonderland, located in Scottsdale, Arizona. So the name says it all. It is a butterfly attraction, I guess you would call it. So it's like this giant, like, greenhouse, right? Would you consider it like a greenhouse?
Yeah, it's all covered with windows and everything.
Yeah. So it's like a greenhouse, and it's huge, and it's got like a stream and like a waterfall going through it, and it's extremely humid in it. But there's literally like butterflies everywhere. Great for getting good photos with either a zoom camera or your phone even. There's even blown glass art in the middle of it, which is kind of cool. Very colorful. But it's a butterfly place. So that's all they have. And they'll actually show you the stages from the cocoon all the way up to mature butterflies, which is kind of cool. So they did have snakes in that too, didn't they? On the side.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they did have like snakes and reptiles, and I think on the side. Forgot about that until just now, because I remember we petted the chameleon.
Yep.
So yeah, yeah. So a good place. So that is the Butterfly Wonderland in Scottsdale. Number 6, the Reed Park Zoo in Tucson. So the Reed Park is actually smack dab in the middle of the Tucson metro area. So it is definitely a truly in-city park. For that reason, it is a little bit on the smaller side. But the land is managed well. It's one of those places that if you didn't see the animal in the exhibit the first time, then you could find it on the next go around. It was easy to walk another lap or two. They have the pride of the Reed Park Zoo is their elephant expedition. Actually, Expedition Tanzania, I think is what it's called. And they have a great elephant population and exhibit completely. They have a great otter exhibit. Yeah. They have alligators. They have a good Amazon section too. And of course giraffes and everything like that. So overall it's a pretty good zoo. It's one of my favorite in the state of Arizona. So that is the Reed Park Zoo in Tucson. Number 5. Woohoo! We made it to the top 5. So number 5, Bearzona Wildlife Park, located in Williams, Arizona. So Bearzona is kind of a unique wildlife park. So they have 2 sections to it. They have a drive-through section and a walk-through section. So the drive-through section, you literally drive through it in your car. There's different exhibits. I think it starts out with mountain sheep or mountain goats. They're goats. And then there's deer and reindeer and donkeys. And then you get to like the part where you gotta roll up your windows and keep your doors locked. Because you actually go in with wolves, 2 different kinds. I think they have tundra wolves and Arctic wolves. Yeah. And then you go through the Kinder bears, which are like the juvenile bears. I think that's it's the younger bears at least. I think the Kinder ones are actually in the walkthrough. But the younger bears, and then you go out through to the white buffalo, which is Russ's favorite. Yeah. They have they're more like of a golden color. They're not white, but they have a great, what's a male buffalo called? I don't know what a male buffalo is called, but they have a great big male golden buffalo, and he is just precious. He'll just stand there and pose for you. He is great. And then you have next, they kind of share the exhibit. They actually have the American bison, which is just the regular brown bison that you would see throughout the United States. And they're cool too. They'll just kind of pose for you too. We love the bison. They're probably one of our favorite parts of the drive-thru. So then after the bison, you go through the bighorn sheep, and then you hit the bears. So obviously Bearzona, they are known for their bears. They have like, I think it's like 20 something. I don't know for sure. Don't quote me on that. American black bears in the drive-thru spot, and so they're really cool. Bears are actually one of my favorite North American animals. I love bears, especially black bears. So yeah, so you go through that, and there's different loops you can take, so you can spend more time, because you are in a drive-thru. There will be cars behind you, but they're doing the same thing you are. They're taking pictures, so everyone's pretty relaxed. And then after the bears, you will enter a big parking lot. Then that's where you end your drive-thru portion of the park. And then you park and you go through Fort Bearzona, which is their walk-through part. And their walk-through part, they have smaller animals. They have beaver, badger, porcupines, foxes. I'm trying to go around the park in a circle. Then they have a petting zoo that have goats and donkeys and turkeys and chickens and stuff like that. They got javelinas, and then they got like the smaller bears, the young ones that will eventually be put out into the big exhibit. And then they have raccoons, which are great to watch. We love watching their raccoons. And their bobcat. And then you round the corner and they have their otter exhibit, which is a really cool exhibit. They have like a waterfall and everything. And then you go through like the biggest gift shop I've ever seen in a wildlife attraction. It is huge. Anything you want to find, they have. And of course, a lot of it's bear themed or other animal themed. And then they have the Canyonlands restaurant. And we'll review that on a different vlog, but that is an amazing restaurant. And then on the other side of the restaurant, you can actually sit there and eat your food at the same time, and it overlooks the jaguar exhibit. And they have two jaguars in there, Nacho and Libre, and they're brothers. One is a black jaguar, and one is the typical golden and black spotted. Amazing creatures. And rumor has it their family is expanding. Mm-hmm. So we follow them on Facebook, and we just heard about 3 grizzly cubs that were rescued from Montana that will be joining the Bearzona family. So we're excited to go see them. So that is Bearzona in Williams. Number 4, the Odyssey Aquarium, located in Scottsdale. So this is actually located in the same complex as the Butterfly Wonderland. So it's like there's the Butterfly Wonderland, the Odyssey Aquarium. There used to be a dolphin place in there, which is kind of controversial, but we won't get into that. And then they have some other exhibits. Pangaea's in there. Yeah, so they have some other exhibits. But anyway, the Odyssey Aquarium. So, me personally, I'm not a huge aquarium fan. I'd rather have furry animals. Mm-hmm. But this aquarium is just amazing.
That's good.
So, you walk in and you pay your admission, and then the first stop is the bathrooms. And you may be wondering why I'm talking about the bathrooms at a place. But they have pretty unique bathrooms. They're actually award-winning. So you go in, and where the mirror should be for the sinks, there's actually a shark tank. So you're actually looking straight into the sharks, that's just amazing. And then you go up an escalator right away, and you get up on the second floor, and you go through a whole bunch of different fish exhibits. There's like the Amazon and stuff like that, and then they have a sloth. Actually, I think they have more than one, but when we were there, they had one. Her name is Squidney. And then they have some birds, some like a cockatoo and a toucan. And then they have otters. And then they have some cool stuff that we actually haven't done yet, where you can actually get in the tank and do like a sea trek type thing. We've never done it, but so we can't rate that. And then they have a penguin exhibit.
Manta rays.
And manta rays, yep. Oh yeah, I forgot about the rays. The actual tank that you can do the sea trek on is got like a whole bunch of rays in it. And I think there's even a couple of non-dangerous sharks in there. Mm-hmm. But yeah, and then you go down the coolest escalator ever. So you go down to the downstairs, but the escalator actually goes through the shark tank. And it has like hammerheads and everything in it. Not like great whites or anything, but they have these hammerheads and some other sharks. And then you get on the bottom floor and they have a giant octopus and some other cool fish. And then you go into, I don't remember the name of it, but they have this revolving exhibit.
Yeah.
So you go in and you sit down, and there's like a tour guide that talks about something, and then all of a sudden you turn, like the whole room turns, and it shows you an exhibit. And I don't remember all of them in the same order, but one of them talks about the sea turtles, one talks about sea lions, one talks about the sharks, and then there's something else. But yeah, it turns as you go throughout the building. So yeah, it's strange because the whole room turns.
It's a conservation theme.
Yeah, so you have to go through and you're on like a conservation mission as you're going through this, and it's all narrated. It's kind of weird to explain. We're not doing it any justice, but yeah, it's a really cool experience. So you definitely have to check that out because you'll have to see what we're actually talking about. And it's actually a pretty good value. It is a little on the pricey side, but it's worth it, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's good.
So, that is Odyssey Aquarium, located in Scottsdale. Number 3, the Navajo Nation Zoo, located in Window Rock, Arizona. So Window Rock, I'll give you a little bit of background, is actually the capital of the Navajo Nation. So they have a museum there. They have the Window Rock Monument and the zoo. And so the zoo is mainly just, actually I think it's completely just Arizona animals.
Yep.
So they got cougars, not gray wolves, Mexican wolves, foxes, coyotes, all kinds of Arizona animals. And it is so well put together, and it's all among the reddish rocks that you find throughout the reservation. So well put together. And the best part about it, it is completely and 100% free. There is no admission cost for anybody. Same with the museum that neighbors it, and the Navajo Nation, or the Window Rock Memorial. So it's high on our list just because it's a great place, great setting, and it's an extremely great value. So check it out. That is the Navajo Nation Zoo, located in Window Rock. Number 2 is the R. Lazy J Wildlife Park, located in Eager, Arizona. So Eager, Arizona is actually almost on the New Mexico border in eastern Arizona. So this is a family-owned, family-ran wildlife park. So it is by, at least when we went, it was by appointment only.
Yeah.
We went when they first opened, and we haven't been back since. Not because we don't want to, it's just because it's pretty far drive for us. But we went actually for Valentine's Day last year.
Yeah.
It's an amazing place. So you go through on a tour, at least it was when we went. You get on this old, it's almost like a hay wagon.
Yeah.
But it had seats, and you actually get pulled out by a semi truck out into the wildlife area, and it's so up close and personal and interactive. So back when we went, they had a camel. Now they have more than one, but they had a camel named Christmas, and she was an absolute blast. She would come up, and because they give you I don't know if it was carrots or was it treats. Biscuits or something. They actually let you feed the animals. So she was all up in us. She tried to steal Russ's camera at one point because he wasn't looking at it. She tried to steal the tour guide's backpack at one point. It was amazing. And then they had other animals out there too. They had llamas and alpacas. They had nilgai. They had some other antelope that I don't remember what they were. Black buck maybe?
Those big ones. Big.
Oh, the water buffaloes?
Maybe that's not thinking.
There's a water buffalo that was all up, I got the greatest photo of the water buffalo and a selfie with it. The llama was chewing on my hair. It was a once in a lifetime opportunity that we hopefully to repeat. And then they went through, once we got through that, there was some other stuff. They had emus and some other, I don't remember all the animals. And then we did a little walk-in tour. They had some capybara and those hogs.
Yeah.
And then they had some other animals. They had a clouded leopard. They had zebras, but we didn't get to see them because they had just gotten them a couple days before we got there.
Yeah.
So they weren't integrated yet into the park. And then they had the birds, the parakeets. So you actually went in the aviary with the parakeets, and they gave you this popsicle stick with bird feed attached to it, and they would actually come and sit on your hands and eat the bird seed. and they were all over you. It was like the coolest experience ever.
Mm-hmm.
And then we paid for an upgrade, and it was well worth it.
Yeah.
So they have a couple upgrades you can do. They have where you can feed a sloth, which we had already done at a different park, so, and we'll talk about that one coming up. But they had it where you could go in and feed and meet and greet with the ring-tailed lemurs. So they gave us a cup of like fruit and everything, and we actually got to go in and hand feed the lemurs. And like they actually have sticky hands so they could grasp the trees for one thing, but the food. And they were just like the coolest things ever.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and then the sloth, they showed us the sloth and the crested porcupines.
Mm-hmm.
Overall, it's like completely interactive and hands-on, and it's just an amazing experience. And the owners do an amazing job with it.
Yeah.
And I know they've expanded since we've been there, so we do have to get back to it. But we highly recommend it. And especially in the times of the world right now, they definitely could use our support. So definitely check out the R. Lazy J Wildlife Ranch is actually what it's called. In Eager, Arizona. And it's time, drum roll, just kidding, for our number one. And if you know anything about us or our channel whatsoever, this one is a given. You know exactly what we're going to say. Our number one is the Out of Africa Wildlife Park located in Camp Birdie, which is kind of the middle of the state. We are actually annual members of it, but they're not sponsoring this video. We are annual members. We absolutely love Out of Africa. Dean and Perry, the owners of it, it is privately owned, so they do not get funding from other like zoological stuff. But it is amazing. So they have a couple different portions of it, and we have a way like we like to do it. You go in and you get your safari ticket. In your safari, you actually get on an old school bus that is usually painted like a giraffe or a zebra or something, and it has no windows. And they actually give you food that you can either feed the giraffe or the camel with. And they used to have two amazing giraffes, Pilgrim and Kibo.
Yeah.
They only have Pilgrim now, as far as adult giraffes, and then they have two baby giraffes, which are amazing. And then they got Humphrey the camel. But anyway, you go in with the Serengeti animals. These are the non-dangerous animals. The zebras, the Gemsbok, the sable, the giraffes, the water buffalo, the addex. So yeah, you actually go in and they show you all about the animals in Serengeti. And the Serengeti tour usually lasts like 30 minutes to 45 minutes, depends on their schedule. And then after that, you can either take, so the next part of the park is kind of up on a hill, and you can either take a tram, which you have continuously running around the park, or you can walk up. We tend to walk up because one of our favorite animals is located just at the base of the hill as you try to start climbing up to the predators, and that is Jericho. Jericho is a southern white rhino, and he's a big lovable guy. And then you get up around the corner and there's lions, yeah, and wolves and tigers, and then more tigers and Sage the mountain lion and more tigers. They have a lot of lions and tigers. Some and bears, and a lot of them are either rescues or some of them have been born in the park, but they actually have two tigers that are brothers, Gabriel and Journey, who were actually found as cubs in a backyard in Phoenix. So yeah, they definitely have that rescue portion, and then they have a giant snakes. They have lots of giant snakes, like anacondas and pythons, which are kind of cool.
Yeah, what's it called though?
The reptile resort. Yeah, they have a thing called the reptile resort, and that's where all their animals, all their snakes and their lizards hang out. And then on the back side of the reptile resort, they have Totter the otter. She's a rescued otter. She's great. And then they have Poppy, who's new, which is a rescued raccoon.
Yep.
And we kind of skipped the primate plaza. They have up in the primate plaza, they have brown lemurs, ring-tailed lemurs, marmosets, and of course, one of our favorites, Bart, the sloth.
Bartholomew.
Yeah, and we actually did a meet and greet with him, and that was great. We did it for Valentine's Day quite a few years ago now, so that was great. And then they have a whole bunch of other animals. I just can't think of all of them right now. And then they are known also for their shows. So they do a creature feature where they bring out a couple of smaller animals, like some lizards, some small mammals, snakes, and everything. They bring them out so people can learn about them. And then they have their giant snake show, which is obviously focused around their giant snakes. And then they either have Wonders of Wildlife or the Predator Feed in the late afternoon. Predator Feed, they actually go over and feed all of the large carnivores, the bears, the lions, the tigers, the wolves. And they actually throw meat over the fence and let you take photos of it. And then Wonders of Wildlife is just, they pick an animal and showcase it. But their crown jewel is their Tiger Splash show. So, they actually have a big pool area with a fence around it, obviously. And they actually bring tigers in and they actually play with them and they like jump in the pool and all that kind of stuff, hence why it's called Tiger Splash. Overall, it's an amazing experience. It may be a little bit on the pricier side for some people, but I'll tell you right now, it is worth every single penny that you pay. And it's one of those places that you pay one price and you basically get to do it all. There are some upgrades you can do, but if you don't get the chance to upgrade, you won't be missing out.
Yeah.
So, as you can tell, be up above Russ's head is Sundari, which is one of their tigers. They used to have her. So, she is constantly on display for all of our viewers to see when we do these couch talks. So, yep. Before this video gets too long, we'll wrap it up. So that is number 1. Out of Africa Wildlife Park, located in Camp Verde. So to wrap it up, I just want to remind you guys that this is on our pure opinion alone. This is not sponsored by any of these places or anything like that. This is on our pure opinion. And like I said before many times, there is no negative animal experience that we've ever experienced in the state of Arizona.
No.
These are just ranked on our experience on different things besides considering their size of their facility, what they focus on, the value,
yep,
all that kind of stuff. So I hope you like our list. Leave a comment down below if you like stuff like this to see what kind, so we know where to go with our content. If you have any ideas for lists coming up, I mean, we have some in mind, like we want to do the top scenic roads in Arizona. We want to do the top restaurants in Arizona that we've been to. Stuff like that. So if you have any ideas for us, leave a comment down below. And don't forget to subscribe and ring that notification bell. So until next time, bye. Have a good night.